What's the deal, YouTube? It's your boy Next Gen 720, and I am back with another video. Unless you've been living under a rock or somewhere stuck in the attic, stalking motherfuckers' YouTube pages, um, you know, heavily, rumor going around that at least Sony, is releasing new hardware this holiday season. I heard from someone that it's going to be both Microsoft and Sony are going to be releasing beefier console this holiday season. Now, to give that rumor some more substance or whatever the case may be, a little bit more proof, that's going to happen. On AMD's earning investment call, whatever the case, said they had new products with an S that's going to be releasing this holiday season, this fall, and on the console market. New products, not product as far as you say, okay, the NX is coming out. Products with a S, that's going to be releasing, on the home console tip, Of course, the NX is most likely coming this year, but like I said, they said products. But anyway, my question is to you guys, and like I said, we may talk about this again on Big Game or Small Talk podcast. But my question is to you guys: are new consoles really needed? Being honest, I love the Xbox One. I like the PlayStation 4. But the leap from last generation to this generation was not that big. Overall, this generation to me has been very lackluster. And the reason for that is because all of this cross-gen developing, cross, games coming on the 360 and the Xbox One, the PS3, and the PlayStation 4. We never had that really in the history of gaming. Once the 360 and the PlayStation 3 came out, that was it for the PS2 and the OG Xbox. When the Nintendo 64 came out, that was it for the Super Nintendo. When the PlayStation 2 came out, that was it for the PlayStation 1. Do you get my drift? Developers are milking this, Come on, like Destiny released on the 360 and the Xbox One, the PS3, and the PlayStation 4, So we haven't seen that big leap in terms of games and what can be done because even though you may have a separate team that may work on the game or whatever the case may be, that game still has to fit around the parameters of a half gig of RAM and DirectX 9. You understand what I'm saying? Prime example, Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider is a beautiful game. But could you imagine how good that game could have been if it only came out on next generation consoles as far as PC and the Xbox One? Forza Horizon 2. Love the game to death. It's a great game. But could you imagine how great Forza Horizon could have been if it just came out on the Xbox One and not the Xbox 360? Many people say that Titanfall is the best shooter that released this generation. Could you imagine how great Titanfall could have been if it just came out on the Xbox One and not on the Xbox 360? You know what I mean? Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 have 8 gigs of RAM, let's say 5.5 gigs of RAM that's dedicated or allocated for gaming. The 360 and the PS3 have a half a gig of RAM. Even though like the Xbox One and the PS4 version may look a little shinier, but it's the same goddamn game, So like we haven't seen that big leap as far as game has been few and far between because, these games still had to fit around the parameters of that half gig of RAM. Now I say that to say this. Are new console is new hardware, needed? I think at the end of the day, both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 are very anemic because they're both struggling. I'm just keeping it real, especially the Xbox One. But they're both struggling to put games out at 1080p 30 frames. We can't even get a lock 30 frames a second. And here's me out. Resolution and frame rate is not a big deal to me. It's not. This game here, Quantum Break, which I'm loving.
It was such a nice invitation.
Xbox volume down.
How do you want to deal with this, Paul?
Sony 720p, quote unquote, but it's a beautiful game. But like I said, you look at Quantum Break, but you know that couldn't have been done on the 360 because of all the particle effects, the debris. Like it's the level they like I said, the attention they played the detail in this game is unreal. Now again, are new consoles needed? My answer to that is depends. Now, if Sony, there's rumors, there's some concept art floating around of Kratos, you know what I mean? Now, like I said, I'm a big God of War fanboy. If that, like I said, rumor has it that these games that are built for this PS4K are going to look noticeably better, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, if they come up with some flagship titles and you can tell the difference between, how it looks on the new PlayStation 4 and then on the regular PlayStation 4, if it's substantial, why not? There's nothing wrong with options. You understand what I'm saying? If you want to upgrade, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And that's the beauty of this, was quote unquote was supposed to be happening. That's the beauty of this. If you want to upgrade, you can. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. And still enjoy the games. That's a win-win for everybody. You know? Yeah, I'm a savage. I drink orange. I'm only here to drink orange juice. I drank that shit by the. You know what I mean? I don't like apple juice and juice and orange. But anyway, like I said, that's the beauty of it. You don't have to. Now here comes the Microsoft thing. Like I said, it puts them in a precarious situation because Microsoft's kind of been quiet about it. Phil said he's not really a fan of the Xbox 1.5. I don't know if he's talking about the name, but I don't personally see how they can just sit on their hands and not do nothing. Because Microsoft's biggest thorn on their side this whole generation has been resolution. If Sony's going to go back into their box and tweak some things, that gives Microsoft the chance to go in their box and tweak some goddamn things also. It's a win-win for everybody. This is great. And I see both people, Xbox fans and Sony fans on both sides of the fence, they're against this. No, it's going to fragment. Well, how is it fragmenting the community or gamers? How? It's not like they're going to sell games to take, special games, to take advantage of the hardware. If they're still going to put out one version of the game, what's the big deal? Every generation, both Microsoft and Sony has released newer versions of their said consoles. Whether it's slimmer or the Xbox One came up with it, SSD drives, a hybrid hard drive, and that the launch systems can have end of the day, which does has better performance because the games boot up, they load faster, yada yada yada. But again, people are complaining or well, I just got my Xbox One, I just got my PlayStation 4. Okay, cool. You don't have to buy another one. And you'll still be fine. But if Sony and said Microsoft shows something at E3 and it wows me, oh, I'm there day one, more money in my hand. I'm all about technology going forward, Now, what could it be? This Sony somehow putting the processors for the VR unit inside the box? And maybe, if you're not playing VR with the PlayStation 4, be able to use that extra processing power for games. Maybe that's a possibility. I don't know, but I don't see how if Sony is going to do this, which I think is brilliant. If they're going to do this to hop on this quote unquote 4K craze, if they're going to do it, why not Microsoft also? That's all that I'm saying. Like I said, I've heard from two people within the industry that I know that, I'm not going to say any names. Like I said, you'd be surprised to watch these videos that word around the campfire that Microsoft and Sony is supposed to be showing something at this E3 in terms of hardware. And that's the same source, that I got some of that DirectX 12 and that Killer Instinct information from. But still, the question at hand is new hardware needed. And for those of you guys that are against this, 9 times out of 10, you were the same motherfuckers this whole generation been talking about resolution and frames per second. This generation has not been about games. Sad to say. This is the first generation that I can honestly say has not been about games. It's been about resolution and frames per second. So why wouldn't Sony or maybe even Microsoft say, hey, you know what? We got some more resolution for you. Hey, you know what? We got some more frames per second for you. And I think you guys are hypocrites. So those of you guys that every week they go up to these Digital Foundry videos. Oh, the Xbox One version is exposed. The PlayStation 3 or 4 version has greener grass and holds a stable frame rate. Instead of 30 frames, 30 frames, you get 27 frames. Like, I think, motherfuckers in the comment section arguing over 3 frames. Like, this is what this generation has come to. So at a minimum, if we get 1080p locked 60 frames a second, what's the big deal? But anyway, this is your boy Next Gen 720. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Is new hardware really needed? My answer to that is yes, because this whole generation has been about frames per second and resolution. I'm out of here. Bang, bang.